The meeting of the Preservation Board is now in session. I'm going to call a roll to confirm the presence of quorum. Commissioner Schmidt, are you here?
I am.
Commissioner Colleen, are you here?
Yes.
Commissioner Byzantiner, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Johnson, are you here?
Yes.
Is there any commissioner present that I did not notice? Okay, so 5 commissioners present. That constitutes the quorum. We can begin. Commissioners, did anybody read? Did.
I would move that we approve the minutes in the last meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections to accepting these as amended? Hearing none, these are approved as the minutes of the meeting of June 3rd, 2014. Commissioners, have you seen today's agenda? I know that staff has informed us that agenda item G will not be heard today. Anybody have any problems, questions, additions, or subtractions from this agenda? Hearing none, this will be our agenda, and I will call agenda item A, 4066 Russell Boulevard, first.
An item before that, second line. Can you do that quickly?
Presentation of National Association Award.
We really fast.
Okay.
I'm on the case.
Keeping in mind we have exactly 3 hours to take.
I know, I'm very fast. About 2 weeks ago, Jen and I attended the National Exhibition Commission's Conference in Philadelphia. Got a scholarship from the state to attend. At that time, we got an award. Award this. We threw our name up there for an award for protection practice. We sent an application in for the solar panel document we did, the windows, what's in, how we modified our standards, what's in, and also for running the stands with the form-based code. And we won, lo and behold. So I wanted to show you guys this. Here's all that now. Now here's the key for us.
Now, does
It's on our wall.
it come with money?
There was no money attached to it.
Or the coupons of any sort?
Great.
Well, yeah, we got one free registration.
Who used that?
Leave it at that now. We'll have a more in-depth presentation next month. What we learned. We learned a lot of fun stuff. So.
Thank you, congratulations. Okay, calling agenda item A, 4066 Russell Boulevard.
I'm Jan Cameron, the research office, and I'm from Healthcare. This is a proposal to, I want to really say rehabilitate, more like, Betsy suggested I use the term redesign instead of renovate, but essentially, this derelict mid-century modern service station at the corner of Russell and Thurman, located in the center of the Shaw Historic District, is being converted to a single-family residence. And there it is. And I have to say that I was in this year and a half ago, years ago, and it was awful then, and the water was dripping from the roof. It is in really bad shape. It has been altered, not in its original condition. And it is a non-contributing resource to the Shaw Historic District. When the neighborhood was established, significant use from anywhere near this building of reputation in 1960. So, this is the proposed reuse, and what you're seeing here old enemy pointer. This is the rehabilitated house, and this is an enclosed courtyard. You see this a little bit better when you get to the elevation. Currently, this is the parking area, this is on front of the building, and the adjacent commercial space. So the building is located directly at the alley. There will be a small garage constructed on the eastern end, and entry to that garage will be from the alley. These are the center, and another idea of what it looks like now. This is a shot of the building going down the alley. So you see it's relatively undistinguished. He said it was a surface station. This is the proposal. This rendering shows the south along Sherman at the corner of Russell, and the proposed alteration includes those properties. And this is the wall that I put here, right here. And this is the proposed redesign of the service station. This would be a shot similar to the alley shot you just saw. This would be the servants' facade. And the alterations are, there's going to be an increase in this window to make it like corner glazed open. There is also proposed, although it may not be in the first phase of building, a little monitor, I guess you'd call it, a single room addition to the roof, set back so that it's not going to be very visible, if at all visible. Get better, and this is looking north towards Flora and towards Russell. Bird's eye view of both buildings. Now, what we're looking at is stucco, some wood paneling, which harkens back to use of wood siding. It isn't clapboard, but it is wood siding. There is a metal rail proposed to cap the roof deck, looking here in the solar panels here. That again, in a contemporary vernacular, harkens back to metal cornices, which are prevalent throughout the area. So the context is from Russell. And we are heading east along Russell now. That's another non-descriptive building directly adjacent. And then we have essentially 2.5-story single family. Many have been painted and have a uniform color similar to what will be proposed for the redesign. So, context on the south side of Russell. Now, opposite on Russell, another non-conforming service station, and some early 20th century multi-family. Again, this one has been painted. Again, it has that uniform facade appearance. Rest of the site along Russell. Each of the site along Russell on the north side. And finally, this is the area of Thurman, who is directly opposite the side of the station. Now, the design does not comply in many aspects with the requirements of the historic district. Again, it is a non-contributing building. The standards do not prohibit contemporary design. And there are many elements of this that do harken back to historic material. Other than that, there are some things that are not in compliance, and one of them being the wall in its current location. It's meant to provide security for the only outdoor space of this property. Staff recommends that the panels be insulated in the single wall. It is an AC, and the standards regulate walls to be no more than 6 feet. So as I said, while there are certain deviations from the standards, the staff is supporting the redesign and is recommending that the approval be granted, subject to review of final materials and by staff.
Here.
The owner of the property. I should say that he has worked with staff and has made many changes in his initial proposal to attempt to bring it more in compliance with standards, as much as can be done with what is essentially a non-conforming building.
The question?
Yes. You mentioned the size a lot, and I'm looking at the drawings in here. Is that to be developed separately? Right?
At this point, I think it's going to be agreed to stay. You could ask both the owner of that, but at some point, hopefully, they want to acquire the adjacent commercial building, the other little one-story non-conforming. But at this point, it's going to be a rest.
Good question? Thanks, Jim. Alderman Conway, you want to go first? Okay. Applicant first.
Carlson?
Dylan McEwen. I'm the architect and one of the owners of the property. Dan mentioned that there's an adjacent property that's also a very simple concrete block building that's been there for a long time. It's also not conforming. We've gotten an option to, we've gone beyond it. We have an agreement to buy that building as well. Ask you to consider that this is a bit of an ensemble. If you go to the corner across from us, the third building she showed you was also non-conforming. And I think from an urban design standpoint, it's going to be smarter to have those things feel cohesive and take them and try to make them into something else in Shaw neighborhood. Let me just show a little bit more context and have to take questions. Go ahead and just click on it. You've seen the site plan. You've seen these lovely views of our sweet home. Some context going along Thurman. We have everything from the original emos at Shaw and Thurman down to Thurman Grill. There are a number of other wonderful buildings in there. But then you also have simple little buildings like the security shop here. Can't find where to go here. This little building, again, you've got 4 buildings now that don't. But also, there's a nice, non-conforming, terrific little gas station about 4 blocks down the street. It's now a cater. So it still is part of the context of what Shaw is about. It's a very nice job that's done. You can see again the 4 corners around us, which Stan showed you. And then back to how do you take cells here and do your best to make it just go first. And some of the reasons we went the way we did in our conversations with the staff here was that there are 3 stucco buildings, 4 stucco buildings with uniform surfaces within stone's throw. There's also the new signage you see there for floor place. And then 2 blocks up is another building that fits the material pattern, even though it's not literally called out to the guys. And just within, across the street, you can see metal detail as a way to cap the building and cap columns, freezers to cornices. Also, just in the massing, you notice, even though these are in terms of the century, of another century practically, featured a corner, feature windows, that slide piece steps up from long horizontal, just like in our building. Just the general massing is patio width. And although the guys, it doesn't restrict the material that we suggest, concrete, stucco, with a wall, it doesn't include it. It's kind of below it. To give an example around the neighborhood, there are quite a few that have finishes you'd expect to be cementitious, plaster-based stucco. You can see stone, CMU above below. Wood, you can see it at St. Margaret's School, another kind of stucco feel, another. One of these walls is over 18 tall. Oh, let me back up one. Also, you can see this again. There's a lot of wood. There's also crossties. There's also concrete. On and on. All of this are way too tall. And yet they feel comfortable. One of the reasons we chose 8 feet tall in our case was that it was just composition. In the buildings themselves, it made sense to come in right at this opening here. There, and cap that off. And as Shannon said, it really is our only yard. If you were looking at most people's backyards, you're looking between a house and a garage. If you look over this wall, you're looking into the living room, into the bedroom. So for privacy reasons, we'd really like to be able to hold it to nominally 8 feet. And 8 above the sidewalk. And again, they're precedents all over the neighborhood. Wonderfully acceptable things that are well over 8 feet from the sidewalk. So I don't think we're asking for a stretch there. Down in the corner, treatment, always having a feature window. You can go all up and down, all over Shaw. It's always some one window sitting together. It's fun. There's certainly the chamber area that's modern. And you can actually earlier modern. We have one new opening cut for the door down the street. And then the back is, where the alley side is pretty straightforward of what's there now, except for the animation there. And that's the overall mass, you can see some privacy. Out here will end up being very likely parking and a garden that will support the coffee shop, and we expect massage and yoga that will go next door. So there'll be garden out here. We expect that will produce edible flowers, herbs, and so forth for a cafe, and park to support that and other commercial enterprises. So really, this corner is a mixed-use corner entirely. And our building itself is our residence. It's also an architectural office and development office. Can I answer your question?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman?
Alderman Steve Conway, and testimony I'm about to give, I swear, will be the truth. I'm very excited about this proposal. We've put it out for bid. The corner that we're specifically dealing with today, it took us, 10 years to get this far on that particular property, and then that little red cinder block building that's adjacent to it. Bill and Maureen have actually gotten this guy to give them a contract to sell that, and you saw what the pictures are. That on the corner, plus what I call the old Tasty Freeze caddy corner, we don't have anything there for the old Tasty Freeze yet, but that on the corner will enable us to do more renovation on that 4,000 block of Shenandoah. If you could put that cinder block building, I don't care so much about this one. There's a little cinder block. That building, the roof is falling in. That's an important component right there, that little ugly building. That roof is leaking like a sieve. And that owner of that property has entered into a contract to sell it. And I know the guy in the house right next door, Emmett, he's doing renovation on his house, and he's riding me the whole time. It's just taking us forever to get this far. But twice they successfully put forward a proposal to do the first building that's actually before you today, but it'll enable us now to also get that proposal and leave what some people in the community like an element of commercial on that corner, and then it will give us an opportunity to pursue the other properties, both the residential on the street and the commercial across. So I'm very, very excited about this project. I'm going to ask for your support today. Thank you.
Commissioner, questions for the Alderman? Thank you. Commissioners, can I hear a motion that includes your thoughts about the exterior materials, details, the roof shape, and the fence?
I did have a question.
Or,
I'm not sure if it's for you or legal counsel. In terms of the fence, do we have the authority, because I thought that there were limitations on the front side of the building that you wanted to go beyond. Actually, front of the building, we go for a variance.
we would simply, by our motion, okay?
Yeah. Move the preservation board grant preliminary approval to the project with stipulation that the final drawing, exterior materials, finishes are reviewed and approved by the cultural resources office. So I don't have an issue with this 8-foot. I think that what he's done there is he's defined an exterior room. It's almost like it's another portion. It doesn't feel like a fence or a wall. It feels like another part.
I felt that way too. What are your thoughts on the exterior material?
They nailed it. They've got a good precedent around the neighborhood. It's pretty much stucco. I think it's a really nice solution to this building.
Detail? Okay. Roof shape? Okay.
I agree.
Ever sold a gas station before?
Not that it's been redesigned that way.
You should talk to this guy. He did a good job.
That was great.
one in mind for him right now.
You should talk to him. Alderman, anything you might add?
No, I agree with that. I just had that one caveat to say.
From your viewpoint.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, it gives that privacy.
Okay. Staff, is that enough guidance?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, there's a motion on the floor that's been made, seconded, and discussed. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Calling agenda item B, 432529 Manchester and 4321 Manchester.
I'm Betsy Bradley from the Public Services Office, and I'll be telling the truth today. This item is 4325 to 29 and 4321 Manchester. Proposed was the demolition of a commercial building to be followed by the construction of mixed-use buildings. The property is located in the Forest Park Southeast National Register District and also in the Preservation Review District in Ward 17. The owner is 4321 to 25 Manchester LLC, and the applicant is Sarah Gibson, C. So here I have a site plan that shows the two lots on the north side of Manchester. It also shows the extent of the Forest Park Southeast National Register District. The second addition to that district in 2005 included 3 blocks on the south side of Manchester, and this one kind of long block that reaches over past Tower Grove Avenue on the north side. There was a building on both lots when the district was expanded. The rear building on 4321 was smaller years ago. Here is the historic building in question. This was noted to be the Higley Commercial Building at this site. It's a 3-storefront building designed by architect J.C. Higley. And it is different from some of the other commercial buildings on the block. That is 1 story. It was built in 1916. By that time, the second stories on commercial blocks were just finished with. People were quite so keen to live above the shop, and these 1-story commercial buildings became more common. It stayed that way through much of the 20th century. It was a contributing building in the National Register nomination, so therefore it's a merit in terms of our ordinance. Here's a rear view of the property. So behind the building, you can see there would be plenty of space for an addition or parking behind that building. The grassy area on the left is the vacant lot at 4321. Here's a shot of the building in the vacant lot next door in the Manchester streetscape, looking northwest. The view with more of the buildings to the west. And this is the south side of Manchester, opposite the site. So there's quite a variety in the buildings in this vicinity, some residences, some commercial blocks, and the 2006 medical clinic building. Here's a closer view of that building. You can see it is one of the larger buildings on Manchester. It's comparable in scale, the facade, and some other factors of the proposed building. Here again is the site showing the depth of the existing building on the left-hand lot. Here's an aerial view. Again, this shows the relative scale of the building. The 2006 building is the large one on the south side of Manchester with a white roof. You will note that you can see there's a 2-story part in the front and it steps down to a 1-story rear wing that's about half the depth of the building. And that's a major difference in the scale of that building and the one that is proposed. Here's an elevation of the proposed building. The applicants are here to speak about this, so I'll let them walk you through it in detail. Here's the elevation on Manchester. The 2 side elevations, rather lively buildings, fully developed on both sides. And the rear or north elevation. It's the first floor plan showing 2 commercial spaces on the street and covered parking for the residents behind. The site plan for, I think this is the 2nd story. The 3rd story is very similar. 10 apartments on each floor. There's a view of the new building in the streetscape. Another view looking west from the east. Sort of almost like being on the sidewalk and walking up to the building. And a view from the intersection to the west from the building as you would look to the east. So the first matter to consider is the demolition of 4325 to 29 Manchester. As I said, this is a merit building. And considered on its lot by itself, it does occupy the full fill-to line. Has 3 volumes that can be used individually or combined for commercial purposes. And again, the building has the potential for being used in a thriving and eclectic commercial area that is experiencing a revival. The mixed-use building would have a setback from the east property line and extend from the sidewalk all the way to the alley. That is something that we did not see for very many buildings in that area. The new design is a reinterpretation of commercial block buildings. The main materials on the facade being zinc panels, 3 colors, some brick and cement fiber siding, and a similar color to the brick completes the materials palette. Now, the building does not really have an easily identified compatibility with the existing buildings that we see here in this view through architectural character and materials. Yet, on the other hand, I don't find it obviously incompatible in most aspects with buildings on the streetscape. For instance, its height is 1 story taller than most of the buildings in the compatible range. It just has a contemporary design or contemporary materials, contemporary types of openings, and a different piece than most of the buildings on Manchester. But I am concerned about the scale of the footprint of the building. Going all the way to the alley without any setback establishes a new scale for covering the lot in this portion of Manchester. The 2006 building is as deep, but not only as the main ground story. The only other building that goes all the way to the alley is the Urban Chestnut Industrial Building, and that's not in the historic district and different type of building altogether. So this density and depth of building is something to consider carefully. All right, so considering all these factors, it's clear that this building, the commercial building, is a contributing building to the district and therefore a merit building. The building shows no evidence of conditions that indicate it's not sound. Not like any other building vacant for some time, it will need work. The turnaround of the occupancy in commercial properties on Manchester and the Grove, and the ability of a property owner to use state and or federal historic tax credits indicates that this building does have reuse potential that warrants perhaps further explanation by this or another property owner. The location of the building on a block front that has experienced some loss already means that its historic presence there is an important element in a historic district streetscape. And much of this immediate vicinity, the residential portion in Manchester, is in a historic district that has been supported by a large number of people. The owner intends to provide evidence for the consideration of the rehabilitation of this building. That plan, that you'll hear more on that from him. So the idea here, as presented to me, was to provide an eye-catching new building, one that caught people's attention as a new product in the Grove, and not necessarily one meant to be ultra-compatible with the historic buildings on Manchester. And certainly it does not meet some of the ways that buildings can be compatible that are called out in the ordinance. Its scale and depth of the building, I think, is its most incompatible aspect. Otherwise, it probably is not incompatible with the street. Now, our ordinance and the demolition review criteria support approach that's not being proposed tonight. The rehabilitation and reuse of this Gateway commercial building and new construction adjacent to it at 4321 Manchester would be an approach to increase the density of this part of Manchester, and an approach to redevelopment most fully supported by Ordinance 64689 and our demolition review criteria. The preliminary approval of the demolition of the sound merit building and subsequent new construction would support the neighborhood's vision for the Grove becoming a mixed use in an area and a mix of historic and new buildings. A type of urban redevelopment in a historic district less firmly supported by the demolition review criteria in our ordinance. I do have some correspondence that I'd like to do. I received 5 letters in support of the project as presented. I have a letter from Alderman Ruddy. He supports the project to do. It's 20 residential units, and the existing building has been vacant for a number of years. Brian Phillips, Executive Director of the WashU Medical Center Redevelopment Corporation, is also in support due to the increased urban density and vibrancy that the building will foster. Alan Ivey, President of Reliance Bank, which just closed on the property to the east of the 4301 3 Manchester, which will be used as a full-service branch bank for Reliance, also supported the momentum redevelopment that this project represents. Forest Park Southeast resident Ryan Day normally would oppose the demolition of a historic building if it was for a parking lot or vacant land, but he feels the new construction justifies that demolition and likes the contemporary design. Neighborhood resident Joe Dykmer and his spouse both support the project as the trade-off was worth it. I received one communication opposed to demolition. Ruth Kenoy, on behalf of the Landmarks Association, opposes the demolition of the Higley Commercial Building, stating our office agrees that the building retains its architectural integrity and contributes to the district. The property could be redeveloped to support the commercial interests of the Grove neighborhood. Therefore, I have a couple of recommendations for you tonight. I recommend that the Preservation Board withhold approval of the demolition of the Sound Merit building unless evidence of economic infeasibility of its rehabilitation is provided and found credible. And ask you further to consider as subsequent new construction is to be criteria to justify demolition, the introduction of a new scale building should be carefully weighed to determine if the scale of the proposed building is architecturally compatible with the existing block base as mandated in the ordinance and surrounding historic district that would have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Alderman Roddy, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members, Commissioners. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I grew up just a couple blocks from here on 4500 of this proposed site on the 4500 block of Gibson, and I used to walk down Manchester on my way to St. Croix School as a young child in the 60s, and Manchester was like our downtown. You could get almost anything you wanted to on Manchester. There's a clothing store, donuts, music shop, stopped and bought the latest single hit at Tower Grove Music, which is just a couple doors down and across the street from here. And as a young child, I watched Manchester progressively deteriorate as the automobile replaced pedestrianism as their way of getting to the shopping center. And as a young boy, I walked by and personally witnessed the demolition of the Tower Grove movie theater, which my dad attended as a young boy, and watched the serial movies for a nickel and popcorn and a dime to get in. And it was demolished, and as a young boy, I actually have a picture of myself with A.J. Cervantes, probably in about 1966 or 67, when we dedicated the parking lot, which is, you can't really see it from here, but it's next to the gramophone, just a little bit further down the block. So I have a long history with Manchester. 26 years ago, 27 years ago, when I got elected alderman, the notion of going ahead and revitalizing Manchester was one of my very earliest priorities and something that I took very, very seriously. And I recognize that the role of pedestrianism relative to, getting to shopping by car had changed. At the time, being new and not really knowing very much, I sought out people that knew more than I did. And so I spent a great deal of time driving Manchester with different developers, and I actually spent some time with Leon Strauss on Manchester, and he had made recommendations to me at the time that the only way you're going to go ahead and bring this back is demolish the whole thing, and if I would have had money, I probably would have done it at the time. Fortunately for myself, I think for the city, Governor Carnahan got elected, and it was within a year or two of that we were able to get the historic tax credit passed. and completely changed my outlook and view of how we treated historic buildings throughout the ward. And shortly after that was passed, I contracted vis-a-vis the block grant money that we were able to have available with Landmarks to actually go ahead and conduct a historic district review. And I believe that was probably the first addition to a historic district to occur post tax credit, post the time that Governor Carnahan passed tax credit. So we expanded both this and the Central West End one, and we contracted with Landmarks to do that. So I have a long history of Manchester and what that's meant, and the importance of its revitalization. And we have given a great deal of thought to Manchester and what we need and how we go ahead and continue the progress that's been made over there. Certainly parking is going to be a critical issue for us. How do we go ahead and come up with parking? What do we do with parking? In the years since I was a young boy walking to St. Cronin's, we've lost many buildings on Manchester, and many of them now have surface parking lots next to them, building plates, the ability to build density and so forth is really challenged because of that. Certainly no one, I don't think at this time, would propose going ahead and taking a bulldozer to Manchester, as I considered 25 years ago. That's far beyond us, and it would never be considered at this point. But the idea of creating enough density and activity and excitement on Manchester is, I think, vital to its future. We are constantly trying to evaluate what types of density mixes, how are we going to solve the parking, how do we go ahead and get alternative mixes other than just nightclubs and restaurants, and how do we go ahead and do that in a way that's scalable and can give us the excitement and activity that we need to make that happen. This project is particularly important to us because it's the first really large-scale development that's going to be happening on Manchester, and we were very fortunate to have a developer to take an interest in this. And this takes Manchester to another level, to be able to go ahead and have a 3-story building with apartments on the second floor that actually has quasi-structured parking behind it. It's going to redefine the economics of zone development on Manchester, and I think an important step for us to take Manchester to the next level. There are parts of Manchester that are that are going to have the opportunity to have more density, and we need to be ready for that, and this could be an important project to get us from where we are today to where we need to go. So I just wanted to show today's my support to the developer and the neighborhood association and others who've worked so hard to bring Manchester back.
Questions for the Alderman?
Alderman, I appreciate the history lesson as always on that. We're going through some of the same growing pains, but I haven't reached that same level, I don't think, yet. And I'm not sure if you're the person to answer this question or not, but the normal sort of answers for us to determine about the demolition of a building don't seem to be met. It sounds like the argument that's being made is that somehow this development is so much greater in value that it dwarfs the historic value of the building that's currently there. Am I mistaken that part? I'm not sure.
That perhaps is my argument. I'm not the best at making arguments as far as the historic merit. That's not my thing. I do understand economics of development fairly well, and I can tell you that when you go from being surface to having structured, it's an inflection point, and it makes other things much more possible. We have a lot of surface spots still available on Manchester that are going to need, we're going to need price points higher than what they are to go ahead and develop, those types of buildings. And I think this can be a very important linchpin to taking us from where we are to where we go. We have a number of things that we're working on over there that, I think could be very significant for Manchester and frankly for the whole city. Just as perspective, we have the IKEA store opening up about 4, 5, 6 blocks away from this. So the IKEA is going to bring, if you're not familiar with that project, it's nearly 400,000 square foot retail outlet that's going to have close to 2 million visitors a year, 40,000 people a week that will be attending that with retail sales of over $100 million. And they will be, Banner Center is the cross-section, so Banner Center and Shoto is probably 3 blocks from here, and then down Banner Center is another 3 or 4, so.
Already mentioned, large-scale development. I have a fear of urban chestnut.
New construction, I should correct. And not in the Grove, on Manchester. We've had Aventura has been constructed. The urban chestnut, certainly. Urban chestnut is a reuse, and Aventura is new construction, but not on Manchester.
It's a good reason.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Unfortunately, it's created all kinds of parking problems. It's like,
Good.
what was the old baseball player? Yogi Berra. It's so crowded nobody goes there anymore. And unfortunately, we're having that issue on Manchester, and the whole idea of parking and how we deal with parking. We will have
Like Cheryl.
we are. But here's the challenge you have: is it's a catch-22. We are going to have parking problems from Lindell to south of Manchester. Centered around Cortex. And our challenge is when you do retailing, how do you go ahead and get enough retailing that's not auto-dependent, so how do you get it so that you can have people walk there? In the early stages, you need parking. But in the later stages, you want to have people living there who can walk there. And it's just a really difficult situation to work through the economics of that. And that's what Manchester, we're going through the same problem. We've gone through it on Euclid. Sarah, between Forest Park and Lindell, will have that problem. We're going to have the problem through Cortex. Structured parking and getting to the point where there's enough people living in an area where they can walk there or bike there without owning an automobile is a really difficult challenge. And in the early days, you need structured parking, and to do that, you're going to need some mapping. There's just no way around it.
Further questions?
I assume you looked up and down Manchester for a site that you didn't have to tear down the building.
I'll let the developer speak to that. We've been, struggling with trying to build density on Manchester. We do have a couple opportunities, that I think that in the future that will play out there, but it's just a difficult situation for us. Thank you.
Okay, applicant. You guys decide how you want to arrange yourselves. Put yourselves in the order you want to do. I want to introduce yourself for the record. And give your address.
Hi, my name is Brent Crittenden. I'm one of the principals of UIC and our architecture firm. The architect I'll initiate the discussion on behalf of our clients who are here will speak following me, Sean Spencer and Kyle Miller. Sean and Kyle approached us about 6 months ago about collaborating on this project. As the architect, we're really excited to be engaged. I think, we're here today to petition you to go against staff guidance and demolish the building and speak to basically where we have a difference of opinion on the standards and some of the economic issues. I'll address some, and Sean and Kyle will as well. I'll say from the outset that I think both UIC never actually pulled a demolition permit before. Saves about everything, and I think the same would go for Kyle and his development work. Sean's track record on the second structure of Tower Grove. They were at CDC and previously Sean made the demonstration. So we don't come to demolition easily, but we think in this case, given what can be achieved on the site, given the condition of our petitioning, that you allow us to demolish this. I've got a few slides here. I can probably use it that direction. In terms of orienting, so here's our site, Newstead, Manchester, Tower Grove Avenue, the Reliance Bank location, Layla's is here, UCBC's two breweries facility is here, and the medical facility built in 2006. This is the map for the boundary expansion, first boundary expansion towards Park Southeast, historic district, and our site encompasses two contributing structures. Okay, so our structure here, the one that was demolished in 2007, I believe was contributing as well. These are some detailed pictures of the existing premise. We've given it status as a disturbing structure to the local district. Can't really argue that it doesn't have merit to it. We would argue that it's a fairly modest structure, and there's a good deal of fabric removed from the building. The storefronts are partially intact, but mostly covered and displayed. The original brickwork has been painted white, and it is noted originally, even in the narrative, in the nomination for the National Register, having very slight detail. Some of the surrounding structures and context that you've seen before, predominantly two partial 3/3 stories along the block, a few setback buildings that still kind of have traces of different iterations. So as it transitions from residential to commercial, buildings got added onto or demolished and moved forward, and then later iterations of buildings. So it is a really eclectic mix. There's basic themes of St. architecture, vernacular architecture, Commercial Street are intact to a pretty high degree, but then there's a lot of adjacent ones. As part of, what we get into it, our argument is what is the potential of the site and what can it become? And this is how we lapse into the economic hardship argument, which isn't as explicit as it can be in other cases where we for concession on a certain building type or concession based on a long-term ownership. Our client obviously bought this building knowing what the value was and knowing what the plans were, but it was actually purchased on existing real estate. The asset would potentially be redeveloped at approximately $60 a square foot, and provide land if it's be over $20 a square foot. And in most cases, and Kyle speaks to greater detail on how they evaluated different options. Those are prices that are beyond generally what's seen as being feasible if we were going to take a path and say, renovate this and make parts of parking or develop another site building next to it. And sort of indicative of what's happening as these, as Alderman Mooney spoke to, as these neighborhoods go through transition. Existing building owners want top value for their properties, and in this case, really probably received it in terms of what they were able to get to the building. But then that speaks to what can be done with it afterwards. And really higher density has to be the option, in our opinion, in terms of what you can do with a site for a $6 per square foot rate. And the question is, well, if they didn't buy it, it's out there for another 5 or 10 years, is that better in the long run for the neighborhood? And what happens to existing in that case? So, going to the architectural design, here's the site. It's 100 foot wide by 125 foot deep. It's currently 2 parcels. It's one larger parcel. Diagram for the site planning. So the left-hand image with red is the commercial. We've proposed commercial, basically doubling the commercial space in the street, stretching along the entire frontage of the small section of the site, and then placing all the parking to the back with access to the parking from the alleyway. And then the residential component takes up the majority of the site. It does have 8 and 6 foot setbacks from the 2 side yards for further setbacks to articulate that space move back from the north. Elevation. The top elevation shows it in context. We did try to use datums because it makes sense they exist from existing architectural elements, things like windows, but we are deviating the exception of 4301 decree, which is always provided to square patterns. We're proposing brick on the ground floor with large storefront, not entirely glass, but large segments, similar to the pattern of the historic storefront. A base, of course, it doesn't occupy the entire storefront of the building. Moving up above, we have tried to differentiate the building from the surrounding context and place it in its own time, so to speak. So we are proposing a massing that actually kind of sticks out over the brick base, appear to be lighter, and with that we propose cladded in the zinc panel cladding and natural zinc predominantly, which will seen over time and have the kind of character variation that a normal metal panel would have. To harken back to the tone of the adjacent buildings, which do vary in brick quite a bit, but we've inserted, in addition to the brick on the base, we've inserted some spandrel panels in a coated zinc panel in an orange color, and then the recesses of the balconies have a cement fiber wood grain pattern panel on them. The sides and rear elevations are in a varying lap cement fiber siding painted in as per the plan that you see before. So the ground floor plan has two commercial phases, the common area entry in the middle, and the second floor is each floor has 10 units between 1 and 2 bedrooms on it with some amenities up here to the street. And we have proposed a group tent back money. Rendered should be accurate. So the view looking northeast, looking northwest, Layla around standing on the streetscape. Setback is the building was intended to increase the capacity for outdoor seating, also provide covering. And a view from the rooftop of the building about a block down, looking north. Our fine provisions of the building to really be a catalyst for more things to come. To help accentuate all the vitality things that are going on in the neighborhood by the increase. That's all I have. If there are questions from me, I'll try and turn it over to you.
Who's next? Hold on just 1 second. We just needed Mark to do a podcast. Finish there. Are you like that?
Quite.
My name is Kyle Miller, the co-owners and the co-developers of the building. I own Paramount Property Development. I started the company about 10 years ago. Done about $20 million worth of redevelopment work in the city of St. Louis. Saved a lot of very troubled buildings that other developers have failed at. We've won Landmark Award multiple times and other redevelopment awards. We looked at this site and we studied the economics of possibly using the site that's there, and the numbers just didn't work, even taking into account the tax credits. Purchasing the building at 150 just work. So,
could you spend a couple of minutes?
Yeah, the building is, the NOI even at like a $14 triple net lease rate, which is pretty aggressive for the area. It would only bring in, I believe, mid-30s a year, and it would only cover a debt of about 200, and that would be at a debt coverage of 1. Most banks and most people want, 1.2 debt service coverage. So even at a 1.0 debt service coverage, you're looking at, about a $200,000 loan. We're already into it for $100,000. It needs $200,000, $300,000 worth of work, depending on what level of you take it to. The way we looked at it was taking it up to white box and then offering, $25 a square foot for TI, and the numbers weren't working. You know, we were coming in at somewhere around a 0.7 debt service when we were looking at just building it out for a tenant. So it just wasn't going to work that way. So we looked at doing an apartment building and bringing more mass in to help cover the debt. Basically my history as a developer and questions from me at all.
Do you have any questions about the resolution?
And also, I thought we were going to cover the option of, the option of parking landing.
With the new construction next to it, we looked at it somewhat, and it just it didn't fit with what we wanted to do as developers. Trying to match the two together, work economically or not. I mean, you'd be taking some of the load off by having some more density, but you wouldn't get the 20 units to help cover all the debt. On doing the split, I didn't study those numbers in depth on doing a split. We looked at just doing commercial versus full-scale development.
And I appreciate this, Mike. So they're selling, have you purchased a building for $150,000?
Correct.
Okay. And what's the amount it's going to take, you believe, to just white box it?
The white box, we were, I think it's $225.
So you're just telling us that there's a bottom line in terms of what you think you could get on your one at least 7 and the debt service. The other time, that portion that the director talked about in terms of doing sort of a combination of.
Yeah, and I don't know as developers if that's the direction we would go.
Because you're trying to make a
Different statement for the neighborhood, yeah, I know that.
What's the square foot, what's the size of the existing building?
It's 2,300.
Questions?
Good evening, this is Sean Spencer. I'm the co-developer with Kyle Miller. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thanks for your volunteer service and your service on this board.
We're all welcome.
You are, well, I'm glad you are, you deserve it. As Alderman Smith knows, when you deal with developers and you deal with sites and you deal with projects, there's three things you want to have. You want to have a ready, willing, and able developer. You want somebody that's got vision, but more importantly, that has money. We're bringing a vision, and we're bringing almost $700,000 to the table to bring this building to fruition. I can tell Mr. Killeen asked about, did we look at other sites? We looked at every site, and we looked at other areas in the city. I can tell you I sent out at least 60 letters to potential to property owners looking for a particular site. If anybody knows the Grove, and I know Alderman Rohde does, there's a Pat Davis, who was the previous owner, owned multiple buildings in this district. He's had the price of $150,000 on these two lots for over 10 years. The market is just coming to a place where we could justify paying that amount of money for those two sites. We took a leap of faith, and as Alderman Rohde mentioned, we did it because we believe in the city, we believe in the Grove, we believe in Cortex, we believe there are going to be 20,000 jobs that are going to be put into this district. There's going to be a need for workforce housing. We bought every bit of support from every organization and person, including people that are here in the audience tonight, to support our project because we're taking a risk. We're not going to make a killing on this until basically the debt's paid out down the line. We believe in the project, we believe in our architect, and we don't believe that this building and the site should remain vacant for another 10 years. Pastor Davis, he owns probably another 6 to 8 buildings in the district that may, over a period of time, deteriorate to a point where they will demolish themselves. We were willing to take a chance. We stepped up. We're in front of this board. We know we're going to sacrifice and lose one building, but the greater gain for Manchester, for the Grove, for Forest Park Southeast, and for the city of St. Louis, more importantly, is why we're here today. We believe in what we're doing. We think we're going to set a market, and we also believe that others are going to follow. We do have one person in the audience tonight that literally bought the building 2 doors down from us because they knew we were looking at doing a project on the site. So without even a building there, a rumor, somebody made an investment in the area, and we think that that's going to continue. So we sincerely ask you to consider the demolition approval today. If you'd like more information on the numbers as it's reflected in a pro forma, we can get that information to you, and you can review it, and maybe there's a way that the staff can approve it down the line, hopefully sooner than later. But I can tell you, from my experience working with developers, and a site this big, and a project this big, I hope you look at the larger view and the impact it's going to make for the whole city. So thank you.
Next question. I would only observe that it seems like Pastor Davis has the legal say. 10 years ago.
Yes, he did.
You guys just have spreadsheets.
So far. Well, it's probably important to note that the other building was probably demolished. I don't know if Jan has that detailed on that, because there was inaction over a long period of time. And that's a systemic problem for the entire city of St. Louis, is that developers or speculators are holding properties and they want to get more out of it than it's actually.
There's actually a board that gives us more and as a developer, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation.
That's it. Third act.
Okay, Patrick Berry.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patrick Berry. I'm with PK Real Estate Holdings, and we recently purchased the building. A little bit more, we like to think that we don't do all of our investments with a rumor. We have some confidence in the neighborhood, but we toured sites, probably about 10 different sites in the city. We kept coming back to the Grove. Not electrical was there, which we purchased the building at 4337, so we're two to the west of the proposed development. But we also had hope for what was not there yet, but what was coming. And this property and the development of the condos and the retail was a huge reason why we chose to purchase on Manchester. So as neighbors, we're excited and wanted to come on behalf of my other partners to voice our support in proceeding with this development.
Questions? Did you buy before or after the IPO announcement?
It was in the works before, and it didn't finalize until we closed in early June. Thank you.
Matt Green.
Hello, my name is Matt Green. I'm a project manager at Park Central Development. We're the Community Development Corporation in Forest Park Southeast. I'm coming today on behalf of a multitude of neighborhood organizations and committees to give support to this project. But first, from Park Central standpoint, we're really excited about it because of the density that it's going to add to this block. We're excited that it's going to be taking a new approach to parking. As Alderman Rohde stated, we do have parking is a major issue in the Grove, so they're getting creative with how they build parking into the building. We're excited to add residential density to the street, which we think will in turn support the commercial businesses on the street. And we're excited that it's taking a vacant building, it's been vacant for 15 years, and turning it into a quality development. And then finally, we've got a form-based district that we've been working on for about 7 months now. And this new design is going to be built under the code, what we believe will be the code, in regards to setback, height, and building materials. The other organizations I'm talking on behalf of are the Grove Community Improvement District, which I'm the administrator for. They support the project. Forest Park South Business Association also supports the project. And actually, we've not even heard any residents within Forest Park Southeast that are opposed to the project. So overwhelming support for them. Brent and Sarah have done quality development in Forest Park Southeast before, and we also work in Botanical Heights, and they have a history down there. And then Kyle and Sean do great work, so we're in support, and hopefully you take that into consideration.
Would you like us to require the board to stay on until they construction plan, or do you not care about that?
We don't care.
Very good.
I'm not going to speak to it. I think we're...
I'm going to cross you out. It's your last chance. Is there anybody else here?
Afternoon, my name is Joe Lignell. I am a property owner on the 4500 block of
You're
Swan.
going to have to spell your name because you did not sign your name.
Sure. My last name is Lengyel. First name is Joe.
Spell.
Joe.
Address.
I own property on 4500 block of Swan.
We need to find you again. Where will we look for you?
Okay. And we'll send that to 5640B, Telegraph Road, number 255, zip code 63129.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. I'm a property owner in the 4500 block of Swan. I've been down there since 2005. We renovated the multifamily buildings on that street. Have taken over that street except for the opposite side, but we're really excited about this development going on here, mostly because we're pleased to see more of the development move west on Manchester down towards our end. Our tenants are very happy about everything that's going on, certainly over in Chestnut, but the other restaurants and things that are going on there. So just wanted to come and offer my vote of support for this project, and I am pleased to see that the building will come down that's presently there and that this sparkling new building will go up in its place. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Schmidt, got a motion. I know you're a big stickler for the ordinance, so I figured I'd give you the first crack at this. Let's ensure that we make a motion. Put that right side of the table here, that's the control.
Good. Well, I'll take a stab at one thing and see if anybody goes with it. I'm not. I mean, it's a difficult one. Did the Preservation Board approve the demolition of this town merit building based on the economics presented with further review criteria on material subject to obtaining a permit for building a new building prior to the demolition of the town merit.
The second step. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
Discussion. It is a tough one.
Well, I mean, I understand the strong economic arguments on it. My concern is, one of the reasons why you had to start this is why you wanted to start tax credit is because you have a fabric there, and if you eat away at that fabric, that there are opportunities, small potentially, So the question is whether this opportunity is greater than the potential loss of the other one. Arguable. I also don't like to see certain people, such as they're saying, whole property, are giving $1,000. It's somewhat troubling to me, and I hope it will not encourage me. It doesn't look like we are using the whole property.
So, one question, pretty much
You sound like my children.
just pointing it out.
No, it's a difficult one. I think arguably the new building has greater economic value to the street than the effort to maintain this one particular down there.
You second the motion. Almost already, yeah.
Well, I think the existing building has marginal down there. I mean, I don't think it's really a high value building. This is, I'm a little concerned about the precedent that developers may gain from transaction. I don't think they ought to feel precedent. I have some concerns there. And I also have...
We told you it was tough.
I also have concerns that I think real care needs to be looked at in this construction to attempt to blend it in to the streetscape. Should not be, I think, likely great difference in appearance. But I think this type of project has high enough merit that it's probably justified in. Thank you.
I'm counting on the left side of this board to be somewhat more consistent in their argument. Be contrary.
I don't, you're right. And I look at this and I'm thinking that first floor, they're tearing this down and building it back up. Some space, if it's possible to stay in the building and have the new one fly over.
This is a preliminary review, not an appeal of the denial of demo. This is the moment for us to that's what that is for us. I expect that and
So that's just one thought, you know, if this one came from our office, that's one that I give it consider how quickly you eliminate cost considerations. I think that just backing up, I think they've got a strong enough new building proposed here to justify it. Well,
I don't see a lot of concrete on the building or the one. Have any opinion?
So, I am of the belief that the new building and outweigh and lack of detail on and lack of having all of this sort of original aesthetic there. So I believe so.
gonna argue. Can you do that?
I like the way I do it.
I'm certainly in support of the, it's always a difficult balance when we're talking about tearing down a historic building. And, although I agree with some of my colleagues here as it relates to the level of merit of the building, it is in fact in a historic district, and it, does make it challenging for me to authorize the demolition of that type of building. However, I'm in support of this proposal because of the replacement value, the smart growth principles that are sort of incorporated by the increased density of the new building that would be constructed, to me far outweighs the demolition of this building based on all of the factors that we're considering as it relates to the economic hardship of redeveloping the existing space, versus what is going to replace it. And, so based on that, I'm solidly in support of this. Would certainly, and I trust that staff will work with the developer to refine a building that will be very, very elegant in the space and be a great part of the character and fabric of Forest Park Southeast.
It's sort of a reminder that we indicated that the demolition had occurred.
Yeah, another that? Motion on the floor has been made, seconded, discussed, and explained. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to take a 2-minute quick break.
We're losing our...
I think we just don't,
The garage door's broken, so we gotta have open till summer.
These are so serious. Sometimes Yeah, I'll, I'm.
Make that criteria, range it for this one.
Oh, sure.
Something from the bar. Now you're getting everybody excited. You know yeah, it's like under $3. Way better than I would think.
Way better. You want some water? Good. Water? There's buzz in the water.
I lift my cup. That's all. I let you guys go. You never stepped in her water.
Balls that way. It's a Monday today. What do you think?
Did you go to the email for a minute?
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I wasn't completely clear on whether timing was the issue or
We're doing okay.
And I have no idea what it was. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, no, I saw it.
I would go that far and find myself, with just a symbol. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like, okay, I went there, all of a sudden the phone goes out. Because, we're building for the last year. We haven't gotten to the normal market. So it's hard to, predict what's historically, I think 6 years ago, 8 years was closed. So there was we knew that, around get all for a couple of things, go down the back, we just didn't see that So it didn't make sense on time for the last year because kind of waiting to figure out when I can have business plan program because more or less than normal.
Okay, commissioners, we're back in session.
Yeah, exactly.
Commissioner Brinkenton, you have a motion regarding agenda item K and L?
Yes. Give me 1 second. Sorry, and I'd like to move that agenda item K and L board staff report a historic preservation office that the property meets the requirements of the National Register of
Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. There's a motion on the floor, it's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Wait a second, is this my house?
Okay, not unless you own either the Stoffers Riverfront Inn or the Remington Rand Building.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah. Sorry.
If you own the Stoffer Hotel, somebody talk now.
Visual and verbal, different.
Okay, good enough. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If anyone here present, okay. Mr. Chair, this motion.
All right, a second. I did.
Okay, are you 601?
Clearly.
Okay, we're coming to you next.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, calling agenda item C, 6016 Washington.
6016 Washington Boulevard, to the record labeling order 469, and Mr. Bolivar, first ordinance 57688, and my presentation is provided. This is what's expected. The permit is actually for the retaining wall and there's water feature of the house. These were constructed without a permit. The owner was cited and location in Washington. This is a Google shot showing building previous retaining wall, which was a very low timber. This is a detailed current Dry Lake flagstone retaining wall. This is just a shot of water feature. It's not fairly straight. Neighborhood, this is the email, they, their association was in support of the owner and feel that the closer to our office feels that the table is not compliant with the standards. Like, so it's not the type of thing originally used in district development. It also, normally, a retaining wall, short-term retaining wall would have had a cut corresponding to the block. Whereas the Dry Lake flagstone really wasn't sort of used as a retaining wall. Because this is not also, not but the owner in last year applied for permit to repaint. At the time, it's gray, had this photo, it appears that it was painted, and there's also ground.
Well, that looks great to me.
It's pretty cool.
Just that we need a better picture. That looks great.
Yeah. So that's just another note. Not, and the permit was denied as it is not have a statement or a dictator.
Question?
Looks to me like the land was built up, and then the retaining wall was
It was, I mean, there was like, there was an existing retaining wall. It looks like maybe it was, grade was changed somewhat. Obviously, that's a lot of the wall now. So it probably was back, there was some after. I know they did all, they pulled, they had, I think they pulled a lot of the original stuff out in the front yard. So it did, there may be.
Questions? Okay, now your house. Sorry to reprise you.
Oh, no, that's, I was just watching. I don't have a slideshow, but I brought,
Give one to Donna, she presents the record for you. The rest of us can share.
so I just had, here's a sample of the rock and cake. Like them. So, I had 5 reasons that I was hoping for a variance. One, as you mentioned, that the neighborhood community council supports the wall. 2, it is natural quality stone, which is why the neighborhood supports it. And 3, the railroad ties that were part of the house when I bought it in '98, they were in place for decades, and so I was hoping that this retaining wall might be grandfathered in, because those railroad ties are also out of compliance, as are the railroad ties of the house next to me. The current retaining wall, even though it's not that block limestone, it's appropriate to the arts and crafts style of the house. The house is the only arts and crafts style house in the neighborhood, and those limestone blocks would look odd with it. So that's to be considered as well. And there are just within the 6,000 and the 5,900 blocks of like Westminster, Kingsbury, and Waterman, sort of behind me. I found at least 12 homes that had large retaining walls with stones from like that compressed stuff that you get from Home Depot. More of those wooden retaining walls, concrete blocks. They're all over right next to where my house is. And so that's just a little bit more context. And let's see, I guess that's it. I did put...
What's going on with the lawn?
Oh, God. Well, that was how this whole thing started. Okay. So my water main broke, and that's what this picture. It was awful. And so the yard got completely trashed, and sorry, it was hard. Sorry. The whole yard was completely trashed. It was an emergency. I was doing the best that I could. favorite cats. And left it there over the winter so that my lawn didn't fall down into the sidewalk. And then in the spring, I refinanced and got enough money to try to do something nice to the house. And that's where it is. I really didn't know that the retaining wall needed a permit. Else I would have gotten one. It didn't occur to me. I'm sorry. God, I'm tired of spending my day. So, that's it.
Don't have one like I did.
That was a really hard thing, his house buying. It was hard.
It looks much better.
Thank you. I think so too. I'm really, really, really happy to come home now. I can answer other questions. I can.
We're all afraid to ask.
No, don't be. Please don't be. I'm stronger than I seem right now. Believe me.
Commissioner Smith, you got any question to ask?
Well, I have a lot of insensitive questions. So I was going to ask our staff about the issue on Flagstone and its appropriateness for an arts and crafts house, but I may just ask that question.
Well, the house is not terribly poor now that it's been painted bright blue.
Right.
So that kind of modifies the craft.
I don't think Flagstone walls were used very much except in England. Driveway.
I move that we override staff's denial of this project and allow it to stand as built.
Second. So the basis for the variance is?
Well, the applicant didn't get cost specifically, but I would say that her reference to the fact that she didn't realize it was an issue, I think implies there's a cost problem here. Well, she did mention a loan, so to go out and rebuild this, I think cost prohibitive.
There is also about the reduction cost in the material.
Okay, so it'd be cost, basically.
Discussion? Hearing none. There is a motion on the floor. It has been made and seconded. Second was... All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe the ayes have it. Motion carries. Staff's recommendation is adjourned. Calling 2225 Chippewa.
The denial of the demolition permit for this neighborhood National Register of Historic District and Conservation District, Ward 20. That's addressed in the Cultural Resources Office. The owner of the property is submitted to the record certified copies of ordinance 5689 as modified by and ordinance 646 all the demolition review criteria which we will go through. My presentation and PowerPoint. Okay, this is property in question is 225 Chippewa. There was a fire in the residence early in 2015. Here is its location in the Marine-Villa Neighborhood National Historic District, near the corner of Chippewa and Another view, indicating that the fire damage we see from the exterior is primarily at the roof level. Another view shows some of the damage. In the front dormer, you can see lots of roof here through the windows. Down. Rear elevation. And another view from the alley showing the road damage there. Here's CPC 5 and CK. Langston building, and the one on the left is owned by LRA, it's vacant. On the right, I think it's vacant, tribute to that. Here's across Chippewa, Indiana, intersection. And then here we are back, CP5. So going through the demolition review criteria, there's no redevelopment plan that is not applicable. This building is a merit building. Greenville neighborhood. An example of like destroying a second entire residence. The roof is the fire has damaged the roof and interior of the second story. And the interior of the first story was damaged by water. At first glance, four standing brick walls appear to be sound. How is that evidence of structural instability and construction engineers that suggest that there's more to be learned here than what we see in the interior or prior to evaluation. The neighborhood potential, the lot front Chippewa, intersecting one of Indiana, are lined primarily with occupied residential buildings of various types. General level of repair and maintenance buildings in that category. This property was occupied as a rental property prior to the fire, and real estate signage in this area where there's hasn't seen a lot of revitalization and are some unoccupied buildings. It may not be planned for a rehabilitation project that requires construction. The applicant will address the issue of economic hardship, some of the realities and costs of setting the building. From an urban design standpoint, here's that building that's placed in the historic streetscape. Lower that is flanking one, that's the three buildings there. In an ideal world, they all stand there. There is no subsequent construction. We understand that association likes to build a property that has no plans for imminent construction. Criteria is commonly controlled property and property. Then we have a primary building. Appears to be found from exterior examination, but we'll learn more about the condition of the building, the applicant, percentage of occupied property is needed to be desired, might be 5 occupied. Economic feasibility, negative factor here. There are no plans for new construction. One of the sort of summarizing aspects of this ordinance is that the statement that there's sound merit qualifying structure will be approved except in unusual circumstances. I do think we have to acknowledge that the building fire introduces situation inspected all the conditions of the building, great discussions about the economic feasibility, recovery, I did hear from one entity opposing Christina behalf of the Belmar Association writes that we agree that the building, despite having been damaged by fire, does not appear to be in critical need of demolition. Unless sufficient evidence can be provided by the owner to prove otherwise, we feel that it should be retained.
There's also a letter from Marine.
Oh, right. I just received a letter from the Marysville Neighborhood Association, copies sent down. The Neighborhood Association has on this, and finally, they can't really support demolition on the property would be an inverse effect on the village. And the work that we're going to look at is demolition to recognize the area. They note that it's such a long project. They also note that they don't want to put financial pressure on the owner, and so the issue of financial is on the table. So those are the two increases that we speak about this resolution. And I do believe there are some issues to consider, including economic feasibility and the further information on condition of the building. That information is sufficient to inform that there might be reasons for reversal or demolition of the demolition permit, if not then
I was looking at my phone at the very beginning. Did you introduce the ordinance? Questions or suggestions? Thank you. Ms. Willis?
As the other human, I don't have a slide, but I do have a packet for everyone.
We'll wait till we're done.
oh, sure. Oh, you have it. Okay.
For the record, tell us your name, please.
Young Abigail Willis,
Your address.
2225 Chippewa, but my address is
Where we can find you again.
9945 Warshire Drive, which is zip code 63136.
For the record, you're going to do some material that you'd like us to build the record with, correct?
Yes, sir. So early in, as you stated, early in 2014, the property was damaged by a fire. The first engineering report that I have in, which is the first one that you see, shows that there's numerous reasons why the house needs to be demolished. The main reason stating that there's extreme signs of settlement. In the second engineering evaluation that I received, which was done July 7th, he noticed also that in the last page on the conclusion that the foundation of the property isn't sound. It's settling and cracking. I went over there. There's also pictures enclosed where I can take a screwdriver and tap into the foundation. Not hard, just tap into the foundation. The mortar will come off and sand will pour out from the foundation.
Stop doing that.
Also in the crawl space, that's where it's starting from. When I acquired the property in 2009, I've noticed there was a little bit of moisture down in the crawl space. I've rectified that, tried to rectify it, but they said that it's been going on, the second engineer said that's been going on years before I acquired the property. So, with it now not being a sound structure, also noted in the first engineering report, stating that it could collapse without warning. And with that, I don't want to... without warning, I don't want to take the responsibility, because there are a lot of children that walk in that neighborhood due to the cross-section of Broadway and Jefferson with the gas station and the bus stop in that area. For it to happen, knock on wood, for it to collapse at any time while there are people out there. So I'd like to be proactive at this point and to go ahead and demolish the building with your permission.
We have the whole report.
There's pages missing that just states how much it costs to get the evaluation done. There's no missing information. It's just pages that state how many man hours it would cost.
67 pages.
The 1 through 6 that you have there, from 7 through 67, they're all pictures of the internal and external for the structure.
You have those with you?
I don't have.
Do you have insurance?
Yes, sir.
Do you have insurance documents?
No, so that's the structural report is what I brought from the insurance company today.
Have you also had a contractor look at this?
I have had contractors come out. I had the Rain company that does roofing and drywall and other components of rehabbing homes. Once I showed him the foundation, he wouldn't give me an estimate. He gave me a rough verbal estimate, but he said he couldn't give me an estimate due to the foundation being the way it is. He told me to go get a foundation expert, and once the foundation was stabilized or redone, then he would come back out and give me an estimate.
And you think that's related to fire foundation problems?
I want to say it's prior to myself acquiring the property. Yes, sir.
In reading the letter from the Neighborhood Association, they mentioned having a conversation with you about the future of the building. Have you had an opportunity to speak with anybody there about the property at all?
No, sir, this is the first I've seen of this letter. I haven't spoken to anyone in the thing. I believe one passerby, but not officially, no.
Yeah, I inquired about this, the building division, because and I don't have the ordinance number in front of me, but as many of you probably know, I believe it was Alderman Conway some years ago, introduced a board bill that we passed as an ordinance that indicates that if more than 50% of the face value of the insurance policy comes into play because of the loss of the structure, such as this, that 25% is held by the city. My understanding from the city is that that has not come into play. So I guess the question is, has there been more than 50% of the structure deemed to have been lost by the insurance company or not? So that kind of leads to the question of whether or not this building is in as bad a shape as being stated, because it's not 50% of
I'd have to start insurance stuff.
Right. I don't have anything that indicates that in fact that there would be more than 50% of the big value policy. One thing that I've been thinking about, based on the letter from Marine Villa, and we've done this sort of thing in the past, given the indication from staff about the possibility of this being redeveloped, would be to give perhaps a 9-month period for this to be put up for sale, with the opportunity for somebody to come up and say, yes, I would be happy to take on this building, and rehab this building. It sounds to me as if the...
Is there going to be a question? Yes, do that.
No.
Everyone should be Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go ahead. discuss it, do I have a motion?
I would move that, I want to make sure that I move forward, that we would have a 9-month period where this building would be put up for sale by a realtor who is familiar with the property. To give an opportunity to see if there is interest, if there's interest expressed by the neighborhood and others prior to
Hold the rest of the night. That's the discussion would involve a period of time in which the board
Director, if your recommendation was upheld, would she be able to bring a new request back within the next 12 months?
Yeah,
12 months, okay.
It has to be up to 12 months,
Yeah.
even if our motion would make sure.
We have it before where it's just a 3-month period of time and it's tabled and brought back after 3 months. With the results of that being on the market.
I think I know in the past, the applicant by consent, we tabled measure for 3 months to allow them to collect evidence that the board was asking for, and I don't know if that's something that could be considered in this case, but
That would
we
also
have
give the
precedent
applicant an opportunity to talk about the market with the neighborhood.
to speak with the neighborhood.
Provide insurance.
Ms. Willis, could you come back?
I can pull up the insurance documents on my phone if you need to.
There's a motion on the floor
Okay.
now to uphold the record denial. This board would like to know if owning a decision on that motion for 3 months to allow you to both test the market for your house and to assemble your information. Otherwise, we will vote, if in fact we hold the directive denial, we will not be able to make
Okay, so you're asking for 3 months for me to put my house on the market, if I'm clear.
and talk to them if there are alternatives to demolition that might be or we could vote. And I cannot at the moment predict the outcome of that.
But if I could go over it again, you want me to put my house on the market for 3 months, correct? To be a date.
First of all, we'd like to talk to the neighborhood association.
Talk to the neighborhood association.
This letter here, and when you came back into the month, like you said, you're having marketed the house, and maybe your insurance material better order. Certainly, for the utility work, cited, really important step.
So even the ordinance, this is just a question, even the ordinance saying that if the house is in town. The ordinance that I, with the two structure reports.
The definition of sound under the ordinance that we operate under is different than the language used by the structural engineer.
Okay, so then I'll accept the 3 months. I mean, 3 months, and I'll speak to the neighborhood association and bring the insurance, which is basically
Formal.
Well, let me just, go over it so that I understand. I'm just the legal counsel, I'm not a voter or anything, but are you consenting to a 3-month continuance, during which time you are going to talk to the neighborhood association, assemble any further documentation, you can bring any more evidence that you want, and show evidence of having marketed your house? Is that what you're consenting to? That's clear for everybody? Yeah.
Is that okay?
If we have a way to contact, yeah.
Thank you very much. Calling agenda item E, 8164. Actually, yes, we do have to vote on that.
So I withdraw my earlier motion.
Withdraw the second. Good second. So we don't withdraw the motion. Your motion?
The motion is to accept the consent of the applicant for the 3-month continuance.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That makes it to the vote. Now, calling 8161.
Staff, to all truth, enter in ordinance 64689, submitted by 64932, and also the delivery criteria are 64832, and my presentation. 8161 Avenue, the appeal of Niles to demolish a building, the Grand State Suburb National Historic District. Any questions? Want to know a little bit about it? It was built in 1902 or 4. It's 04. It was modified in the early 20s to kind of take on the true revivalist from the South Central older occupation building. Here's the site plan. That's just where we're at. North, south, Colorado. Streetscape across the street. That kind of shows a pretty intact block. There is one hole that is just adjacent to the property to the east. As you can see, that's the property in question right there on there. You see, lot next door is owned by LRA. The other side is occupied. Here's the building. Building suffered a fire in the rear part of the building, which heavily damaged a frame addition as well as the rear brick wall. East side, you see, walking around the building, you see the foundation though itself is down as well as the exterior walls that see in the front and so. This is the back of the fire place. And field is there in my car. That portion is relatively sound. Within the addition itself, there is damage to the brick wall. Met the owner on the side, building out. There's extensive damage inside from fire, smoke, water damage. Kind of see back a little bit. The floor was kind of wet, so we didn't want to take it too far back into the building, but the middle room, front, back there. Look back and see the damage. We need a new roof, obviously. Heavy smoke damage on the barbecue. Inside. Okay. So we will go through the criteria for the ordinance. First off, there isn't a land redevelopment, so it's not applicable. In terms of quality of the architecture, the property is located in the Grand State Suburb Historic District. It's a cubic property, and it's sort of merit building underneath the ordinance. So it's a good example of how taste and buildings changed over the years. In the century, how you had a simpler building that was modified by the 20th century with that true revival kind of crescent facade to it. The condition, I've been through that before. Interior is pretty much on the new roof, but the three leaks of the back wall I did not see first. You can't see back there with some damage to it, but the building overall is sound in terms of the order. There aren't any attached buildings, so that's applicable. in terms of neighborhood effect and use potential. The block is, again, it's mostly occupied, it's in good shape. There is the one empty lot facing the property. To make that whole larger, so of course, I think that should be maintained. In terms of reuse potential, the building is in a historic district, so it is eligible for the federal historic tax credit. It's in funding and rehab. The hardship, the owner will probably address that itself, but it is not connected to staff, we will probably address that. In terms of urban design, obviously, again, the block is intact. We don't want to choose at the row. Make the one void in the block larger. Proposed construction, by no builder on site, its plan was to level and seed and perhaps sell it for redevelopment. But at the time, there wasn't any concrete plans given to staff for use of the site. It's not county controlled property. There is a garage on the property. I don't believe it's damaged by the fire. He did receive one correspondence from Landmark to address support staff in addition to another permit demolition. So just in recapping, Wington is a contributing resource to the Grand Batesburg National Historic District and the merit building under the definition of the ordinance. The front brick portion appears in sound condition. The frame rear wing does have damage. Need to be addressed. The interior has had smoke and water damage. The wall is planning to again to be intact and sound. Given the location of the neighborhood, activity, and we have in the area of both new construction, we feel it has a good reuse potential, given the incentives of the credit. Overall, we're again states the demolition of merit following structures should not be approved except under usual circumstances.
Alan?
I need to make multiple copies, so I only have.
Give it to him. Okay.
For hearing me today, my name is Louis Bernstein, 928A North McKnight, 63132. The property is in such disrepair, we did have insurance on the property for $89,000. The city is holding 25% of that for either redevelopment or the cost to tear down after it's torn down. The insurance adjuster, at his time of doing the inspection, stopped adding up when he got to $119,000. I had a contractor come out to see if it could be done for less. He was well over $140,000 to start redeveloping this property at this time. So there was there's not the money to do that, and it would be cost prohibitive to do so. The forms I gave to her, I had a real estate agent with REO Express come out who does a lot of foreclosure sales and things like that, and has a cash out buyers or fixer-uppers and things. I asked him to bring me any sort of an offer, and he could not get anybody that would take that property. We also put it in the multi-list system through our company. It's been on there, which is why we did not come to the meeting last month, because we wanted some time to see if we could get it sold. And we offered it for $29,000 with a $20,000 credit back to the buyer upon completion of renovation. We did not get one call, one look, nothing at the property. And I reached out to several not-for-profits to see if they wanted the property to be donated to them with the same condition that we would give them a credit back of some sort to our cost of demolition, and they all expressed zero interest in it at the cost to redo this property, even including getting the tax credits did not make feasible sense. Most of that had to do with the condition that it is only a two-bedroom property, and for instance, Habitat for Humanity right now is only looking for 3 bedrooms, and they want to buy in blocks of 5 to 10 houses at a time. so that when they go in to do renovation or building, that they're all in one area and can get it all done and have the groups together. So they were not interested, and none of the other not-for-profits that I talked to had any interest in it, that the cost would be overwhelming to them.
Have you approached the LRA committed to that?
The LRA would take a donation on that, but they would not, I would not be able to retrieve any of my costs back. And they could sit on it for 5 years or more before anything gets done with it. And so that was not an alternative.
Do you need to donate to a non-for-profit?
That would have been my, well, I wouldn't have cared even about the tax credit as much. They could have used the tax credits if they did the renovation. Yeah. But the cost is to repair the property, from the exterior, it doesn't look that bad, but when you get inside, it burns all the way through. And just, like I said, the insurance guy, he was at 119 and he turned around and stopped adding.
Sorry, I did have a question. So this was being currently marketed, so this is showing an incoming listing?
It is actually being marketed. That was I printed up the wrong sheet, but yes, it is being marketed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner, motion? Motion?
Ideas.
It was a single frame garage, I don't have.
Okay, I think I am pretty well caught up. Mr. Schmidt, for purposes of discussion.
So for purposes of discussion, I would move that we uphold the director's denial of this demolition for 18.
The second? Okay. Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Mr. Robinson?
out of here.
Motion to uphold the direct denial or begin a discussion.
Yeah, I think there's evidence showing that actually, I've actually got a question. Sure.
You know that when you're about at the end of the when you can barely hear you?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't, you guys ever hear him?
You've been waiting to ask them before.
It's been years, and I didn't know that just now.
Oh, wow. When did this fire occur?
Fire, what's fire?
Perhaps the question was, so this house, it looks from what the speaker was prior to the fire.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Got no interest, no takers. You had somebody that was in there actually starting to paint it, get it ready, try and get it in better shape at the time of the fire.
How long was it on the market?
I'd be guessing, because I don't know, I don't have that information in front of me, so I don't want to give you an answer that, I would say several months at least. I think we reduced the price to $39.9, if I'm not mistaken, but again, I don't remember exactly.
So, I'll start with there seems to be some discrepancy. Material presented versus what. Having said that, it's clear that the house has been marketed pre-fire and there was somehow have a structure that is worse condition than it was pre-fire when there was no interest. I honestly don't see, given that have potential, it has been marketed pre-fire. What do you do now? The building has some structural issues, whatever those may be, and it was marketed.
Yeah, I'm not going to have any questions about it. It's simply, in a lot of our historic neighborhoods, I try to lay it over neighborhoods that I live in. You could make the argument, some have, that we should do with Alderman Rhodey, Sprout, based on people's sense of the value of historic structure. And much of Seward probably was in those, and many people suggest a lot of where should we move because it was no more. So the question sort of becomes whether we're harming the market by demolishing more or helping the market by demolishing. When I look at this building, or you can say, well, you can say that this building has no value, then one building does. No, I agree with you. It's just it's not easy.
Right, well, and I guess, given, I'm not in agreement. I am not in disagreement with that. I guess my concern here is still that came up that, now there's the city holds 25% of their money unless something happens, and if something never happens, those owners never get that money. I think that's ridiculous.
I'm not sure that I can tell you that they never get that money back.
I understand, but again, I think the problem with that is in a situation like this, when this building specifically has been marketed, there are no takers, and now there's been a fire, and now the city has this money. What do you do?
I'm not sure that they keep the money in and I can try to find out.
You should know that prior to making that decision on it. Because that's great against that.
Hey, Jack, one moment, I'm sorry. Well, they don't get the money back. They hold it forever.
I will not consider that part of the record. Here is a relevant legislation before us, in any other ordinance. And the question is whether by this ordinance we should hold the staff denial or not. The action of the ordinance is not in addition to whether or not the money comes back.
Sure, and I understand that. And so I would say that based on time, asking that owners market for X amount of period, 3 months, 6 months, that clearly has been done prior to damage without takers. I think, and show that not being fine someone
I guess my heart is
I would agree with that also. As last get forward that
reason communicated before tonight offered the option has not been offered at all.
True, and I understand.
90 days, it's reasonable. The old one actually got 7 months.
Sure.
9 months. Even longer.
2 years,
And we had a
No, and I understand why that.
if you cannot find a
Yes, in the case just before this one, gave that 3-month stay. That building had support, 2 structural engineers for demolition. Did a report come through? I didn't notice one structural engineer, which is, I think, the applicant's biggest argument here, that it's structurally not sound. I'd like to see, that's from the previous. So I'd like to see that on this project. And also, the story's changed on this. He offered to sell it for the fire for a certain price. Now he's offering to give it away. I'm wondering if this cute little thing on this street with a possible side lot from LRA might just catch the attention of Craigslist or give him the same deal that we gave the last applicant, 3 months stay. Actually, if we deny, it's 12 months. So that's possible amendment.
Wasn't going to, last time no one even seconded the motion, we seconded the motion, the question of whether you would move forward with that motion.
Well, if this motion were to fail, that's what I would.
Okay.
To give this applicant some time to think about this.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to uphold the director's denial. It has. Call roll. Commissioner Robbins, yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Khalid, yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Byzantine, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, yes or no?
Yes.
3 yeses, 2 noes, the motion carries. The director's denial. Calling 908F Geyer. Why don't we break right now? Calling agenda item 908 Geyer to the NFF.
Andre Dagan, this is, submit into the record, enabling ordinance 64689, or ordinance 57078, This is 908 Geyer. The owner proposing to replace the existing front door. This is project site. Geyer. This is a close-up of the door, which is, it's not the original door, it's like very similar. And this is the owner wants to have more kind of door, has issues with sheer glass and broken Mardi Gras. Staff suggested possibly replacing, like flexing and straight glass, be hard to break. But glass. Yes. Located to our first district. Yes. Application cannot be approved. Proposed door doesn't fabricate the original door or appropriate standards with the building. 4-panel doors are typically appropriate for facility construction 70s, 80s. it's more of a later building for large. It has more rail and not have a little based on their findings, Conservation Board of Schools and their director denial of the application as this is not compliant with the law.
Question? Thank you. Appellant, Mr. Young?
Sure, I'm here today, with a request for a new front door.
Please stop for a second. Bill, director, tell us your name.
Sure, my name is Mike, M-I-K-E, Young, Y-O-U-N-G. I'm a current resident and owner of 908 Guyer Avenue. I'm currently here to put a request for a new front door. The front door that we have now has a glass window in it, or I guess I should say it used to have a glass window in it. The glass was broken. I've currently in the house for about a year. Had an issue where the glass was broken. I don't know if it was due to vandalism, attempted breaking and entry, attempted armed robbery, but all three of those would be a possibility. Having been owner of the house for a year now, apparently looking at either recurring expense from here, replacing the glass, or just replacing the front door altogether. The reason a solid door is being requested is simply for safety issues. The glass in the front door presents a gateway to enter the home. It can be broken, simply reach through and open the front door. I believe, and I feel that the board would also believe, that no historical precedent should really take priority over the personal safety of one of the city's residents. So the case is pretty simple, and we're here to request that.
Gary first.
No, I got a bid request. There was about $2,500 to replace the entire frame, the top transom as well. Being the glass in the top transom, but just getting a new front door.
And so, you might have decided to take the glass that
Sure. Even if a, quote, shatterproof safety glass would be put in, the door is in pretty tough enough condition where it needs to be either fully rehabbed or replaced. Since my house is currently on a heavy traffic pedestrian walkway with no front lawn, that simply sits right on the street itself, rehabbing the door is pretty much out of the option, so it would require removal of the door, and either a temporary door has to be put in place due to just how old the house is. You have to get another custom door fabricated to be put temporarily in place while the new one is rehabilitated, or to simply have no front door in your house altogether. So rehabbing the door is really out of the question, which means a custom one has to be built in replace of it. Like you said, suggestions to use safety glass. The board had recommended Lexan or similar type material. The original door was built in 1905. I'm not really sure how representative putting a fiberglass door with a Lexan window in it would be, as far as how the standard itself reads, replacing glass from the Victorian era. So I feel that's kind of the case.
my question is, glass or not, replacing fiberglass.
Again, right now, the current plexiglass is there in place. The door itself is not strong enough of a wood frame to support the safety glass. You have to have a reinforced door, which means the whole door needs to be replaced anyway.
You go right up to what was necessary to get you again?
I was, yeah.
I'm just reflecting, and I don't even know who does this. I know my former commercial district manager used to work with people in the commercial areas. And I remember one guy who invited me up to come up with a baseball bat and wanted me to start pounding on his window. I was he showed me how he just basically pounded on the window. Great. In that case, though, there was a full frame and so forth, but I'm just wondering what options might be available. I'm just not personally very concerned. Options that might be available, obviously, I understand the concern. But it sounds like I'm hearing two things. One is that it's not just about vandalism that may have occurred, but in fact, help or somebody could adoption services help security and
Hey, Joe. I got one. Sort of based on so replacing this door with a new door with safety glass versus the 4-panel door.
Sure, the safety glass, well, like I said, I don't know how representative that is, the material built in 1905, as well as it still wouldn't eliminate the issue of direct line of sight into the living room, kitchen, and the dining room. So just being able to visibly see in, you could argue you could cover that with a curtain, but then what's the whole point of having the window in the first place?
Motion? Board knows I'm looking your way.
I don't at this point, I was thinking about it.
Any other?
Yeah, okay. I move this preservation board overturn the director's denial and the applicant directed to work with staff on acceptable solid door solution for explore this safety glass solution. In other words, we would allow for a solid door that we can get sight. I don't know if that is possible. I look at that door there. I know it doesn't, I don't want to start denying here. But what I'm, so I got,
Motion?
I move that the preservation board uphold the director's denial as the proposed front door does not comply with our historic district standards.
Second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Discussion?
okay, now I can discuss. Well, I think the, applicant has a real issue here. I mean, there's been down there in Mardi Gras, and I have the same concerns. And if I live down there, I might be willing to come to the board for the same request. Safety of self and get so it's a real concern that we should also
It does have
And I would, as, the person who made the motion, I would certainly be willing to accept working with staff to come up with a door that would, match the historic guidelines. That would certainly include the window, and, maybe safety glass would be a part of that. You would have clip lines because you would, still see in, but it would eliminate or at least change, I would think, the safety concern that you would have with having an accessible, glass door.
if I have a necklace or every silver glass box, open and turn down, I can't have a window on the top of my house. I have at least a dozen windows.
And I've got possible.
I got glass doors. I I like it where I live.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
And I would add that Mardi Gras is once a year and 15 for you to go up during that particular period. That's how the Mardi Gras is used. And in addition to safety glasses, get a new door, not only safety issues, but there's still further concern during Mardi Gras. Done that particular.
I'm not all that friendly, but something about my presence. Okay. More discussion down here?
No, we were looking at the
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. It's been made, seconded, and discussed. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Moved. The ayes have it. The director denial will come out. Okay. Think about a model example before that might be here.
We actually did try.
Okay, well, now your denial has been upheld. Maybe discussion. Calling the next agenda item, which is 1918 South.
That was the first.
Sorry?
Yes, that was the first.
Next agenda item, H. Oh, wow, that's right, there's 300 pounds.
Okay, the interim ordinances 64689 and also 71175 and my presentation. That's what while I'm talking to you guys, like, give these photographs or these drawings to you. These are with the application. I do not begin in the presentation motion to have these. I want you to take special note at the picture on the bottom up here that shows you the roof and the current condition up here. Just trying to discuss what we're talking about. Okay, this is a field denial, so it's called rooftop deck in Benton Park. Great. Nice in Utah. Site. So the second question will be up here. Context across the park. Looking up at the north side, the rooftop deck will have a handrail that will pick up right.
How far back is it?
As proposed, right on the edge. That's over here. That's where it is. You want to get as much space you can on the top of that roof. Hang in the back. So the proposal currently is to run the handle right at the back, right along the edge, and right at the back, right along the edge. That's the current. That's next slide. Okay. The Benton Park standards state pretty clear about rooftop decks. It says that rooftop decks shall be only above a private facade, should not be predominant in the street. Fortunately, the proposal is on the corner, so you're kind of stuck. Again, public facade, not public facade, not a private facade, kind of stuck. We talked to the applicant about options. We said, well, we get in our corner, if you move it back off the rear, full feet, minimize the appearance, and also move it off of the parapet on the Utah side. Look at the pictures on there. The bottom row, there are some old vacated chimneys that have been capped in. So we need to push this back beyond that, kind of lose the sight line along there, along Utah if possible. Applicant said he wished to proceed for the variance for the full deck. I talked to Benton Park, when I was getting official from Benton Park. I think they meet tomorrow night at their official meeting. I do have some correspondence from them. A member of the committee actually presenting the same thing that we proposed. The owner of the compromise kind of minimize and get that true visibility off the street side. be offered to the smaller deck, 15 or 2 visible streets. Yeah, you recommend that now, again, it's not deck, it's also a public spot and a public spot.
Questions? Ellen? Your patience?
Oh, absolutely. I'm Alex David. I am the owner and resident at 3300 Munn. The reason for my, appeal, Bob and I have been working on discussing this for a couple weeks now, and unfortunately, the property that I have doesn't permit much of an outdoor space. In fact, I've got about 11 feet of it. So having a little bit of a yard on my roof is really the only place that I can put a barbecue grill and actually have any type of outdoor space on my property. I do understand it's on a corner, and that's kind of a downfall to me because as I drive around Benton Park, there's 30, 40 houses with balconies that are up against the railing all the way around that are all over the place, but mine is probably more visible than most. So I'm coming to you kind of with a plea to, allow me to have as much space as I possibly can on the roof. Since moving into that house, we've spent a lot of money, a lot of time making it as nice as we can. I've ripped out all the yard and put in all brand new sod. We've spent the money we needed to make and obtain a beautiful home in Benton Park. And I don't, while I understand that there are, we put the rules in place for the historic code. More or less, at least from the conversations I've had with a lot of people in my neighborhood who have been there for years, a lot of it goes back to the time that, guys were just building anything they wanted. And a lot of poor design, a lot of poor attempts to rehab some of these homes and defacing some of the beautiful historic parts of the properties is kind of the reason behind it. I'm open to really any material. I'm open to, glass or small black or something that's almost, I'm open to just about anything. As far as
smaller?
That's the reason why I'm here. I can do that. Bob and we've already discussed that part, and I don't think that's, I think that's we already know we can go down that road. I'm hoping that, we can.
So open to almost anything.
I'd like it to be a little bit larger than what's allowed by the city, and frankly, I just don't. Maybe I don't understand the ordinance or the reasoning behind it, but a lot of us have these beautiful balcony areas. I've got to walk out from my kids' room that can walk straight out to a outdoor patio area with no railing on it at all, and that's permittable. But me putting a railing up that's visible isn't. It's almost kind of odd to me, but. Okay, that's a different direction. I really don't know why the law is in place or what it's there for. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Is that your garage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Like a barbecue grill.
Inside?
Instead of it.
Oh, yeah.
Did you build that?
I did. I really think I'm about done.
Question?
First of all, I want to congratulate you on this building. This building many years ago was in the 10th Ward. This area, it was not a great building. You've done great work with it. I would also urge, by the way, not to consider that it's fair game for kids to go out on the roof. That the building division essentially would say that you have to have some sort of railing. The difference here is that there's a local historic district, and I won't belabor the point about being in a historic district, so you have, as was indicated, the issue with the fact that you're on a corner. You are also just to the south of a park, correct?
Correct.
And what park is that?
Cherokee Park.
And that was always in the 9th Ward, so the 10th Ward always never remember that. But it is right on a park, in addition to being immediately, in the corner. So, frankly, I think that a lot lot of leeway being given because this park happens to be raised, and everybody in the park is going to be able to see this check on the top, and this day off. So it sounds to me what staff is trying to do is minimize, based on what the ordinance says, literally. Because if you looked at it in another way, you could say that there shouldn't be any deck at all, because it's always going to be visible from that part. I mean, on the Utah side of these buildings, this is the north of the park, it's raised, it's really raised pretty high, because there's steps to go up to get to the park. I don't know if you have a photo of that.
Yeah. All of my credit cards.
Yeah, I thought it was higher up.
It is, it gets closer down to.
Yeah.
Correct. It's probably about 8 or 10 steps.
Right. So I applaud the effort to try to minimize the literal wording of this ordinance so that at least you could have a rooftop deck. I know. And again, I think you've done part of the job.
Okay. Done?
Yep.
Alderman Schmidt?
I mean, can't you just do a motion that says, it sounds so rude.
You've got Bob's attention, Bob's doing all of that.
Doesn't want it. Works them on the side of the stack.
Alderman?
Chairman, I'll make
You've got the name.
move that the board approve direction denial of new contact construction on
Second. It's sort of clear that some of us would like to see this up there, but not see it.
Yeah, very clear. I can invent park is also the same mindset as you.
All consider it. Probably won't get to it.
Yeah, we'll work on a, we can, in front of the
And keep in mind, where that garage is now, yeah, which,
right spot.
Well, by the way, some of the ways that we've done some of that is where you have carport that looks like a garage, but he's already got the garage there. But a lot of people use the carport idea with the doors so that it looks appropriate.
I don't think he's gonna modify the garage.
We already went through that for minutes. I go back on that.
But that's why we've encouraged some people, because then they have.
It's a brand new garage, I don't think he's gonna modify it. I see what you're saying.
So the applicant has said that he's willing to build this out of anything. Does that change staff's
We
position?
prefer like simple black.
Right, so if he does something, well, no, I mean, if he does that simple black, can he get closer to the end? I know not by the guidelines.
I mean, we're under the impression it was always a simple black.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what.
I'm seeing this wood deck, so.
No,
Yeah, I'm okay with, I have the Soulard rail on my back deck there, and if it was better for everybody to put black railing on top, I tear down the railing on my deck, change it, match it, put it on black.
Motion. Seconded and discussed. All those in favor of the motion, which is hold to the denial, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The denial is upheld. Agenda item I, related to
Medical staff, optometry, same ordinances, 64689 and 67115, and my presentation is the record. Okay, Okay, this is an appeal of a denial to retain a fence without a permit in Fence Park. 32-2003. So this may ring a bell to you guys. The wall was actually constructed a while back without a permit as well, and they came before you, the board to retain the wall. To build the wall, and you guys approved it with modifications, including cap, porch, and get flooring it. That was sort of accomplished. So, at that time, just the wall was approved. Now, there's understanding that they would eventually construct a compliant fence on top of that wall. We never got a permit for that fence. Last month, I believe, and the owner's going to speak to it again, they received a stop work order from building inspectors for putting up this fence. You can see here, without a permit. So we also had the owner get a type of permit, they wish to retain it, they understand, what it's supposed to look like, but they'd already made the purchase of this system and they want to keep it for 20 years. If you're curious, it's a piece of the Old McKinley Bridge, you can think I think more about it. As we look on eBay, it was effectively to buy this on eBay or selling the railing. Standard state for a low fence in the front, they have to be 48 inches, and also based on model example. And, we know with standard historic fence, although it's very nice, it does not look like historic fence you'll find within the Fence Park historic. It's a spear design. That's what we generally see. Be it without the spear, but it's of that standard design. Have not seen official again for Fence Park. It takes them long. Official. I had a brief discussion with the president, and he said that he was, but again, nothing official. It may have been different. Really. I also tried. Also, the post. Also, look at this as a whole. The panel system from the bridge. Also, the circular post. None of that. Plus the historic small example. That's not appropriate. None of that. The entire system is not needed. Again, just more clear about what a small example is and confusion. It's something that predates 75 years. But also, found in the neighborhood and has an actual fence that we use right now. Situations like physical fence within the area. It's probably old enough, but it's not really not designed. Again, without a permit, doesn't meet the guidelines, material, design. Then you got full denial of the fence, that it's not compliant with the fence department, where you can.
Question? I wasn't clear on this. I wasn't here in 2011. So did they come before the preservation board in 2011?
Yeah, it was back in 2011 for the wall. The wall was starting also began without a permit. At the time, it was still did not meet the standard. Came with the board to get a variance trying to change the wall. They had a copy out to it. The variance they had a cap on it, of course, it made going between stone and here. I think it was like more of a historic stone wall.
So they already got some relief from this board previously? And was there any discussion at that point about fencing?
Right, again, the plan was, the initial submittal had a spear design on there. But again, you approved permit only for the wall. You get assumption that, again, at a later date, fence would be but
so there was no discussion that they were going to do that. If they were going to do that, they'd have to go into
The appellant.
My name is Angelica Smith, and I am one of the residents of 3235 Missouri Avenue, 63118.
My name's Joe Herbert, and I live at 3235 Missouri Avenue.
Yes. So this is our home and our fence and our wall, and we're very proud of all of it. We're very proud to be residents of Benton Park. He's born and raised in South City, and we're both very proud to be city residents and be a part of this neighborhood and be a part of the history that is St. Louis. And we both feel very passionately about continuing to enrich the area where we live, all of the city, but especially Benton Park. In fact, we are obviously expecting and very excited to raise our child in the city and expose them to all of the beauty and all of the history that is a part of St. Louis. And we were so excited when we found this fence. We both started new jobs recently, and money's been tight, and we are engaged and expecting a baby. And we actually are friends with Jim and Jeannie Lalamundiere, who gave us this fence. They told us it was from the McKinley Bridge, and we thought, my God, I mean, what better way to honor the history of St. Louis and of our, bi-state area than by putting up something that really showcases the rich history that we have. It is a wrought iron fence, and from that standpoint, the material and the height, we know are in compliance. As far as the permit, we actually were confused with what was approved and what wasn't, because our drawings did have a fence on it. And when we got this fence for free, we thought, fantastic, we'll go ahead and use it and go forward with it. It is historic. We're very obviously familiar with the city and know a lot of the fences and the great iron work, especially in our area, in Soulard, Lafayette Square, Benton Park, and downtown. So what we knew of the fences all throughout that area and in Benton Park gave us the impression that it actually was compliant. We were not familiar with the model. We do see a lot of the hoop top fences, but we weren't completely familiar with the fact that that was the only fence that was allowed, because we walk our dog from Benton Park twice a day, and the fences all throughout Benton Park actually have our same posts, which we do have pictures of those fences in the park to show you. I mean,
this fence does exist in the city. If you guys want to see it.
In fact, this will show you the exact finished product that our fence will be.
Okay.
This fence stands at BB's Jazz Blues and Soups, obviously a very historic part of our city atmosphere. And they have it on their balcony and around the street and the front of the building. That is identical to what this will look like once it's painted and the posts are brought down. Yeah, so they'll have to be cut and the fence would be painted black. We have no intention of wrapping the fence around the right side of the home. It would strictly be where it is now, the only addition. The moment we were told stop working, that permit was just for the wall, not the fence as well. We stopped. Nothing was done. We didn't continue painting. We didn't put up the gate, but the gate would obviously go on as well, and that we would work with the city to make sure that they were approved that whatever we want to do with the gate. Yeah, these photos show some of the fences, in particular the one in Benton Park that shows very similar posts to the ones that you see here along our fence line. And then we also have some other photos that really help to demonstrate the variety of fences that are in the city. And I think that that's really important, because when you move to the city and when you reside in the city and when you love the city, you don't live there to be cookie cutter and look exactly like every other home on your street. Part of the reason why you love it is because it is unique and it is eclectic, and it does allow every part, every neighborhood to have its own personality. And if we wanted something cookie cutter that we could go to Home Depot and buy and put up, we probably would not live where we live. So
these are other variances of fences found in Lafayette Square and Soulard as well.
Just to give a little reference. I guess in closing, really, the last thing that we will say is just that, we look around us and we see that there are homes that people try to do quickly, the Home Depot home, and people that put up there's a lot of chain link and wood fences and different things, and we really do want to honor the rich history of where we live, and we hope to do that here. So we thank you again for hearing us out, and we would like to thank you as well for working with us and communicating with us on everything that we've been working on. So Thank you.
BB.
Jazz Blues and Soups, it's at the corner of 4th and it's in between 4th and Broadway, 1 block from the stadium. It's if you know where Broadway Oyster Bar is, it sits at the opposite end of the street of that block. It is not in Benton Park. No. Just an example to show you exactly what it will look like once it's completed.
We're showing variances of other fences within Benton Park. Those first set of photos are all variances. They don't look like the hoop style fence.
But that exact fence is not in Benton Park. I do know there is another family we found out, I guess, on our same street who purchased some of this fence. I don't know if they purchased it or if they were given the fence. I don't know how they obtained it. I was told they purchased it. I haven't spoken with those residents directly, but apparently they were waiting to find out how our case goes to know.
It's on eBay, and actually it's being for next month probably as well.
Thanks for this.
eBay?
Zuler. Yeah, they're out there to buy them, so that if you, if one looks like that, you know where it came from.
Jim and Jeannie Walamundi. I'm assuming our friends. Yeah, part of the reason we obviously chose this was because it was free, and again, financially, we're not in a position to spend what it does take to put up a hoop fence, to go buy it new, or to buy something on eBay. We're not in a position to do that.
Questions?
I mean, that's good, but these do a heartbeat. Great.
You don't have in your file a copy of the drawing that was approved.
Yeah,
Let's see that.
I have, for 2011, I'll show you what was.
For any reason you would like to sit down, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll give you two things. I'll give you what stamped and approved.
Don't ask.
I'll give you two things. Okay, I mean, it was approved, the design of the wall. Either it's in the middle, they gave unstamped, not approved, just that they're basically reflective on it.
Yeah. We submitted it. John. To John.
Is that in the record?
I can't be sure.
So that wall is 20 inches high, that's one of my
That's a
questions.
stone wall, yeah, it's like, you can tell me, supposed to be what
20 inches high, and then above that is now a fence.
right, but again, it's not approved.
I understand that, and then, but even the basic building code is you have to be under 48 inches without getting some sort of variance.
And
The issue was the design at the time when they came initially.
Right.
They had, I don't know if you came before with them, of course.
yeah, it is flush with the ground. Thank you.
Hi. Sorry. years that I was involved in, and I remember going through this previously. I am questioning how, after having previously been before this board for installing something out of bid and that not being approved, how you came to the conclusion that this was going to be okay out there.
We were under the impression that the permit included the fence on top of the wall. And again, I apologize for the confusion about that. I apologize to Cultural Resources that there was confusion about that. We proceeded because we thought it was okay to do so.
And then secondly, given having gone through this process, and I say, based on what we came up with, what you needed to do with the wall, that your deviation even from sketch was going to, how did you come to that?
It's a beautiful historic fence that shows the variety that exists currently in our neighborhood in Benton Park. Not all fences are hoops. The entire Benton Park area is littered with fences that look nothing like a hoop fence. The mill fence is a great example. I did not draw that fence, no.
Did one of you draw?
I drew the fence. I drew it in their office the very first day. But yeah, that's just what it came to my mind in their office. They said, "Oh, draw what you know."
But that's what.
Yeah, but that wasn't fine. I don't think it was stamped. It was never that.
Okay, but it was not stamped. How then you come to the conclusion that it was?
Right. Well, I thought that it was.
I apologize.
Well, then if you thought that it was, then it was.
Well, he just showed us that it wasn't stamped, so it's not stamped. I thought that it was.
Sir, everyone makes mistakes, and we made one, and I'm sorry about the confusion on our part.
The side part of the motion. That the Preservation Board upholds the corrective denial of the metal fence does not comply with this part.
Second.
I think it's a nice fence. However, whichever. My issue is testimony that they thought it was as what was submitted, or it was not, and it can't be both. So either it was the hoop, and that's what it was, or it wasn't stamped and it wasn't the hoop, in which case you had to bring it forward. That's fine, and present it, and get it approved.
You approved the wall like tonight.
Yes.
And then you actually
Correct.
pretty certain we will not approve that. That will go up, but yeah.
I'm a neighbor of yours up there, and I know where you're getting this from. There's a lot of funky fences in there. None of them are 75 years old. And unfortunately, when we wrote those standards, we didn't get that kind of funky factor in that we talked about. It never quite moved in. So if you get denied, I'd consider storing these things in the back and joining the board and seeing if you can get some funk into the ordinance. If it's not there, it's more stored. It was done for a very good reason. Unfortunate project got built in that part.
We know.
Put in its top. But follow the letter of what we wrote years ago, unfortunately, this way. Cool. Cool looking guy.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate that attention, and you know that I talked about that attention before, but we needed something to stop the real issues that were there. It's difficult to allow some creativity and funkiness and at the same time protect the neighborhood and make life so we really have is this ordinance with very specific standards as to when there. Creativity is one. That's why I did it. And then I just wouldn't buy it. Commissioner Rivett, I'd like to have a discussion on the wall and place. This time, there's a motion on the floor. That's the whole direction. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This time.
Thank you for your time. We may be your neighbor before you know it over there. Sorry, Mike.
We value fun, and we are not a local historic.
There we go. Thank you.
No, we have an overlay design standard on Washington Avenue. We have an overlay design standard on Washington Avenue. No.
When did you vote?
What's that? Oh, it was a voice vote. We don't record who voted what. The voice vote. I didn't say it.
There was no one opposed.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
I'll be quiet now.
Okay, well, I'm not Betsy Bradley, I'm Sandy Newport, and we're going to discuss an appeal of the director's denial of 4309 Gibson demolition. Here's the building. Before I go any further, let me introduce into the record ordinance 64689 as amended by 64932 and 64833. Also, the PowerPoint presentation, the agenda, and my this building was applied for demolition after it sustained a collapse of the outer wide of bricks. Photographs. This sort of damage results from leaking probably where the roof joins front parapet. So this is another evidence in court of unfortunate blacksmith. Property is located in Forest Park, Southeast National Register District, and it is a contributing resource to that district. Therefore, federal and state tax credits are available for the rehabilitation. The current owner has owned the building since 1999, but he's been vacant for at least 5 years. Shot from the rear, see that it is a sound structure. It's definitely for the exterior black block on the front. Bit of detail. Amazing that the metal intermediate corner is a shape chimney, but otherwise the wall came down. And the block is very good. There's only been a couple of blocks on it. It's really intact. So let me go quickly, just going through the requirements of demolition ordinance and the redevelopment plan on the property. This building is considered to be merit as a contributing resource in the National Register of Districts. In addition, it's an interesting Romanesque revival, craftsman amalgam. This nice art is on the top with archival mold. Every day.
What would you write about that?
It's by the collapse in the front. Is found under the definition of the ordinance. Neighborhood potential. See how this block takes it. The loss of this will be a substantial loss of the block. And the REIT potential is good because this is, as we heard earlier this evening, a hot neighborhood. And in addition, direct tax credit. So, the owner has said that he doesn't have the finances to restore the property. I did earlier talk to him about the possibility of table tax credit. I don't know whether he's investigated that or not. But as far as urban design, the present building, again, it's very important to cost base. There's no proposed construction based on.
I have one. How do you determine the owner of the property? And so if I looked at this property on Facebook, it shows a different owner.
The owner of the property came from the
But we don't actually verify the
I found it great for the record. Previously, a couple of letters, one from the Landmark Association, supporting the director's denial of the building. And second, another from Matt Green from Park Country Development, unfortunately, he's late, and another commitment, but he said that the owner has not appeared before the development committee, and therefore, at this point, they are done.
Okay, Mr. Spencer. Thank you for your patience. This is the longest meeting I can recall, and a lot.
I can't stand math and things. I had a knee replacement, total knee replacement for my left knee. Is that all right?
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. That's a month ago. Okay.
Look towards that.
Okay,
that little
sure.
softer thing there.
Okay. This building right here.
Let me rebuild the record. Tell us your name.
Oh, Kevin Spencer.
And tell us your address.
2940 Square. St. Louis, Missouri, 63107.
Are you the owner?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
4309?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. In the early 70s, my parents bought that building. My mother worked 30 years at Bowen's Management. My daddy helped build the hospital building, worked for McCarthy Brothers and Gamble Construction Company. I graduated from Stick School and Ocala Tech. My daddy purchased that building in the early 70s. Okay. I used to live there. If you look at that building itself, it's lean. Was simply a 3-story house right there next to it that fell on top of that building. The insurance company was sitting nobody out there because all the rafters are broken inside. It's been mildew. It's been vandalized. This happened in 2010. It's been sitting there. They just gave me back my deeds last year to this house after it's been rained in for 3 or 4 years, vandalized. And that's saying it. The house right next to it that we own, and it's rented out. It's kids. That's a 3-bedroom house. That's unsafe. It's been like that for 4 years. There's kids in that house right there. It's been rented out. That's our property too. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know what they're saying. I don't have the money to fix it up. They held the property. It's been raining in there, but since 2010, it's been snowing in there, they've been vandalized, everything. But I go up and keep the grass cut, keep up the maintenance. But what? If you look at the building itself, it's leaning. If you can look at that building straight. That 3-story is on top of my 2-story. At that time, it was occupied. I was bringing in $1,300 a month. Okay, after that, they came out to condemn the building. So all the rest is up top is broken. All the bricks up on the 3rd floor is on my roof. That's why the front of the building, some of the structure work is gone. That part right there just fell down last year. The front part of it just fell down last year. So the building's falling down. I don't have the money to fix it up. But I can't show you a picture of my property now while I'm here landscaping. It's the evidence you can show. This is where we live at now. That's what we do to the property. While the building, man. That's my house right now, where we live at, my family. I want to beautify that just like you said, it's 60 yards from Manchester. How come I can't beautify my yard? Go ahead and take me to my yard, put a fence around it. That's my property.
I'm sorry, you're saying you put this red wall around the outside?
No, that's where I live at now. Yes, I did. That's Cedar Woods.
That's what you do to the new property?
Yeah, that's where I live at now. That's my house right now. So that's why I want to beautify that land once they tear it down.
Oh, I see.
They denied me. The house is sitting there, they've been vandalized. They selling drugs in there and in the backyard and all that type of stuff. You know, I don't need that. I don't need the hassle. Yes, it has been on rough the last 2 years. Like the man said earlier, they got 25% of that money sitting down at City Hall waiting to get that tore down. From 2010, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Somebody's going to get hurt.
How much would it cost to rehab it?
Over $200,000 to $300,000. It's been rained in for. It's all mildew, mold. The whole house has to be gutted out. The rafters have to be done. The walls are twisted. Go back and look at the pictures. If you can, I can show you. You go back to that house that's 25 Chippewa, inside the building was leaning. We called in on that building for over 30 years. City never done nothing about it. It's going to collapse one day. It collapsed on my building. When it was occupied by people. So we got a history down at City Hall about that building, on that vacant lot right there, that the building has been falling down for over 30 years. It finally fell on top of my building. And nothing I can do with it. I have a family to raise. I have a young child. I have a family to raise. I don't have time for that anymore. I want to tear it down and beautify the land. It's less than 50 yards from Manchester where everything is booming at. I can sit right there and picnic. You see how my house looks? I can beautify the land. That's my land. You can have the house, but you can't have no more land. You ain't making more land. I want my land. The house I don't want. I want my land. And I want to beautify it. That's all I ask. They just gave me back my deed to my house last year. That's why all the different names came up in. Okay. The house has been my family since the 70s. I used to live in that house. My kids live in that house. That's what's left of it. That's all I got. They got 45% of money down there. Where is that on? Downstairs somewhere. Get it tore down. I want it tore down. This happened in 2010. I'm not going to get fixed up. The house next to it, once again, is occupied with kids in it. That's our property, too. Okay? And somebody's going to get hurt. And I don't want no, lawsuit about somebody getting killed because the bricks fell on top of it. You look at the bill again, it's leaning. It's leaning.
Give an engineer's report.
Huh?
Give an engineer's report.
The guy who owned that building right there, that's on top of my building, he brought out about 7, 8 engineers. Scared my little lawyer to death. They said the house was no good. That's why I didn't get nothing off the house, but enough to tear it down. House had plenty of insurance on it. All I got enough money to tear the house down up to be my house back to give it back to me last year. What I'm gonna do with it? Once again, what happened? I was paying $1,300 a month on that house. I was been a family since the 70s. Now I'm just sitting there.
How much did you spend the escrow?
$15,000 or $20,000, something like that. It's around there.
How much would it cost to stabilize the property?
$200,000 or $300,000.
How much would it cost to rehab the property?
Probably about the same. It's been for field time on it for years. They just tore it down, so I don't know. It's been sitting there. I mean, how long do I have to wait?
Is it currently on the market?
Yes, it is.
real estate agent?
Huh?
Who is the real estate firm?
Ashley Realty?
Sorry, give that forward.
Ashley Realty?
Action.
Action.
The asking price right now.
Well, I just, 35,000. Sir, let me reframe this. Ashley Realty was first on but they took the house back from me, and I just got it back last year, so right now probably nobody had it. I just got my deed back last year. He had it the first when it first happened. That's who had it. I just got my deed back to my house last year.
It is not currently.
No, it's not. So I had a for sale sign up on the
Thank you very much.
I move that the board defer the decision on this property 30 days, such that the appellant can provide additional documentation on the structural report showing that the house has in fact been marketed by realtor as testimony.
That's two separate things. One is that there was a structural report regarding the extent of damage, and the other would be the evidence.
Before consider whether that motion is in order or not, given our ordinance. Sir, would you be willing to, in the next 30 days, produce a structural report on the condition of that house and evidence that you have attempted to market it?
He has not technically been released from his doctor, but he should not have been here today. Have you been here for too long? Is there any way you could give him an extension longer than 30 days? Because he's still doing at-home physical therapy. We had no idea when we came at 4, and as you saw, I came in late from work, that we were going to be here 3.5 hours.
When I came in, I had no idea. I was here 3.5 hours.
And so technically right now, he has not had any medication, and he's a diabetic, he has not eaten,
in over 3.5 hours, so I know. We're asking for more than 30 days, at least 60.
How long would you like?
60 to 90 days.
You want 90 days?
Yes, sir.
Is that his request?
I wrote that with me. Once it gets certain time, and where the funds gonna come from?
That's not what I'm asking.
They're asking for you to get the evidence to show that it's not structurally sound. Everything that you pleaded here.
Okay.
Is that right?
That is
what I'm-
correct.
Okay.
And I should also add that I'd like to see, insurance company.
And the insurance report.
Okay.
Okay, let's make this official. Barb?
Can okay, I'm just gonna read this back to make sure that I understand. I'm not a voter, I'm just a legal counsel here. So, the applicant's asking that we that the board defer making a decision for 90 days in order for him to, provide additional documentation of the structural, support issues, the proof of listing the property for sale, and any insurance report, and the board has indicated that they would agree to that. Is that correct?
The insurance report, what they gave me,
yes.
I'm not, what kind of report do I need?
The board has asked, for information they'd like to supplement, so do you mind, I'm gonna let the.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for is when the house that was next to it fell onto your house, there would have been an insurance claim. I would like to see that claim and the finding of that.
I just say, I mean, people,
No, I need a record of that.
The insurance company, that house.
Oh, I would like to see everything.
Is that okay?
So you're asking for that amount of time to come back with that additional evidence, okay, then I understand.
Okay, I agree with the motion is in order. Motion on the floor has been made and seconded. For consideration of this for 90 days, at the end of which we would allow the appellant to assemble the documentation and so on. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So is it safe to say 3 months from this day, or just wait and receive a letter?
The third meeting from now. And they will notify.
Okay, so I'll be until on the 28th?
We'll